What's going on?
Where my theme music, Richard?
What do you mean?
Okay, there we go.
We got it. Relax over there, Mr. Late.
Oh,
Sorry
no,
for the...
that was Richie.
Yeah, sure. We're going to try to wake up and ball with you guys on time in the future. Don't worry. We're still getting used to this. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a lot to unpack today. And it's going to start with the New York Jets. It's going to start about how the truth has been exposed about the New York Jets and what's going on behind closed doors and why the Jets fired Saleh, why the Jets fired Woody Johnson fired Joe Douglas, and what's the future holds for Aaron Rodgers. We have some NBA stuff. We have a special guest coming on to talk about baseball, Juan Soto, the latest news of free agency. We got a good friend of mine joining the show today. Wardy NYM will be joining to give us his thoughts of the Juan Soto latest free agency. Good morning, Tony Dow.
Good morning, Richie. Wake up and ball. We ready, baby. Another morning, a beautiful morning. Y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, man. Love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Yes, Richie, we got a lot to talk about today. You know, you left some things off the list. You know, the Cavs aren't undefeated anymore. True. The Celtics are the big dogs of the NBA. Man. Lakers get another victory. You know, we're going to talk about so much, man. Let's get into it. Wake up and ball, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Shout out to BetUS for being the official sponsor of Wake Up and Ball all season long. Big time shout out to them. Make sure you guys use the 150% bonus when you sign up to BetUS by using the code YouTube150. All right, that is code YouTube150. Big time shout out to BetUS. We're going to get into some odds later on in the show and highlight that. Before we go any further, shout out to everybody that is waking up and balling with us. We want to give a exclusive shout out to Finn's Post Podcast, JT, Life of Oz, Super Dave, Glenn in the house, Young Buck Collins in the house, Lewis. All these people are waking up and balling with us. Patrick Bell, Balls, Dr. Spaghetti, Josh, Aquavision, Flick Shorts with the super chat. Wish we could get rid of GM and head coach Jets collapse. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Dolphins fans are jealous what the Jets are doing by cleaning house, but we shall see. Flick Shorts, thank you for the super chat. And shout out to everybody that is tuning on in. Don't forget to hit the like button and tell all your people about the Wake Up and Ball show that's live every single day, Monday through Friday at 8:30. So let's get straight into it. Enough of this. All right, so first and foremost, we had the news yesterday break that the Jets fired their GM, Joe Douglas. And we talked about this on the huddle yesterday, TD. And this kind of was an expected move, but it's just a matter of when it was going to happen, during the season or after the season. I knew the Jets were going to move on, but there's a lot more clarity of what's been going on behind the closed doors. There's an article that we're going to get deeper into, but I just want to get your thoughts of the Jets firing Joe Douglas really quick, and what do you think is next for Aaron Rodgers? And I just want to remind you, remember when we had a whole topic on Wake Up and Ball last week that Aaron Rodgers is returning?
Mm-hmm.
This was the graphic for it. Aaron Rodgers playing next year. Rodgers says he thinks so. So I just want to make sure this is clear. This was the topic last week. And this is from Aaron Rodgers' mouth saying that he wants to play. Now there's reports saying that the Jets don't want him back. Therefore, that he may not be a quarterback for the New York Jets any longer after the season. So last week we heard from Rodgers saying he wants to play. Now we're hearing the Jets may not want him back after firing Douglas, and after hearing more about it, we're going to get deep into all the details. But why don't you give us your thoughts of the Jets firing Joe Douglas before we get into Woody Johnson and all that?
Well, there's chaos in that front office. There's chaos from the ownership to the general manager to the previous head coach. And at the end of the day, the owner runs the show. He calls the shots. Something wasn't adding up for him, and he went ahead and moved on from Saleh. Still, things didn't look right. He moved on from Joe Douglas, and he's looking to usher in a new era for New York Jets football, a whole new era, whole new regime, whole new power change at the top. And with that being said, it's almost like he's punting on the current situation because he doesn't feel like it was handled properly from the coach and the general managers. Obviously, there were decisions that he may have wanted to be made that weren't made, and these guys put their job on the line for it, and it didn't work out, and that's what gets you fired. ultimately that's what gets you fired. Because at the end of the day, in today's NFL, the owners typically sometimes have a lot to do with the decisions as well. And not all teams, like Miami owner doesn't really. But for the most part, owners do. So when you suggest something and they're not seeing it that way, they go with what you say, but you're on the hook now. It got to turn out the way you want it. And something didn't. And that's why Douglas and Salah is out of the building.
Yeah. And there's a lot of details we're going to get into. Guys, do us a favor. Simply hit the like button on your way in if you are waking up and balling with us. We appreciate that big time because TD and I are really trying to build something special here on our Roundtable Sports main network. And that starts right here on Wake Up and Ball. You guys are watching the first ever show that is a usual show, and it's been a joy. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's been a joy to wake up and ball every single morning. So without further ado, let's get into what actually is going on here. Okay, let's get into what's actually going on.
Allegedly is going on.
Allegedly, what's going on, man? There's a lot of alleged. Flick Shorts, another super chat. TD, don't let him talk anything good for the Jets.
I got you, bro.
TD can't check me. I only check him. That's the truth.
We gonna see, Richie.
All right, so let's just get into it, man. Woody Johnson wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers, according to The Athletic. Woody Johnson has been calling all of the shots, all right? And now we are going to pass the team over to Christopher Johnson eventually when he leaves us yet again. Thank you, Woody, for that. Now, what I want to get into with you guys is the details of this article because it really, really exposes the truth, alleged truth of what's going on. So this is an article written on The Athletic. This is written by Diana Rossini and Zach Rosenblatt. Again, we don't know what's true or not, but this is definitely giving us some inside of behind the scenes with the New York Jets. So we're going to go through the article, TD, and kind of really unpack what we're reading here, all right? Because it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark. And the first part of the article I think we should highlight is that Woody Johnson seems to be plugged in. And by the way, I theorized this, and I was correct, if this is true, that Woody Johnson literally is plugged into social media and is allowing social media to impact decisions. Okay, so let me start off with that because that broke my brain. It broke my brain. I made that as a joke. I'm like, yeah, bro, Woody's probably on Twitter listening to us as Jets fans, and that's what's influencing his decision. So here it is. In last offseason free agency, when offensive tackle Tyron Smith and wide receiver Mike Williams lingered after initial wave of free agent signings, the Jets pursued both. Multiple team sources believe that this was a matter of Johnson's preoccupation with social media factoring into the decision-making. Douglas went along. So what's your thoughts of that? Because Woody Johnson's very active on X, and it feels like whatever the fans are saying he's doing on social media, and he's pleasing us because we're the customers, and he wants to please those fans instead of actually doing stuff that will benefit the Jets winning. What's your thoughts of that part of the article?
The only thing I take from it,
and this isn't, by the way, not the first person to say this. Albert Breer, NFL insider, he said this on Prime when the Jets were on Thursday Night Football. So this is not the first person to say that Woody Johnson is, listening into social media, making that into decisions.
No, I think I don't take much from it, Richie, because here's what I just read. Multiple team sources believe this was a matter of Johnson. Believe this is their just personal opinion. They believe, man, he listening to the social media. That's all this is. He believes
that rationalizes it because his decisions making are ridiculous. Because so it has to be. What else would be the reason?
It makes sense to them. So they're just putting 1 + 1. They're making it 2.5, but it's close to 2. So it got to be. That's all this is. We don't know. At the end of the day, Jets fans and Jets are trying to find answers right now. They're trying to understand where the breakdown happened. And now you're getting reports believed, multiple sources believe. No, who gonna say it? Who gonna stand out and say this is what happened? See, that's what this is a lot of right now. A whole bunch of this is what I believe happened. I believe at the end of the day, we weren't in the building. And Woody Johnson could have had all the right decisions, and maybe he wanted to make this move because he believed it was the right one. But to say he did it because social media, and listen, Richie, social media in the world were calling for these things to happen, right? Right? Maybe he felt the same way. Maybe social media and everybody like you and I, we were on to something, and he agreed.
Yeah, but come on, you're telling me that an owner is listening to the pulse of the fan base and letting that be like he's like, hey, Joe Douglas, the fans want this, and Douglas is like, I don't know if we should do that, but Woody's like, no, we need to do it.
Nobody said he said the fans want this. It's easy, Richie. If Richie goes out and say, I don't want Rodgers next year, and Joe Douglas, without listening to Richie, may say to himself, I don't want Rodgers next year. Just because he say, I don't want Rodgers next year, does that mean I have a right to say, hey, he listening to Richie and the fan base? No, he just may have agreed with the public's opinion. And it was coincidence. And matter of fact, if anything, isn't that a good sign?
Yeah, but like what they were referring to with the free agency is, do you remember the whole sandwich thing with Mike Williams?
Yeah.
The social media was pressuring the Jets. Like every Jets fan was pressuring. We even had a fan send Mike Williams a damn sandwich. And that was before we signed Mike Williams. He didn't sign. So they're saying, like, Woody Johnson saw all of the fans so excited, like, don't let Tyron Smith or Mike Williams leave. And that was, like, the deciding factor. And the other moves that Joe Douglas wanted to do, he tried to trade for Jerry Jeudy, and Woody Johnson vetoed it. Woody Johnson also, and this is interesting, remember the whole situation of the Jets not extending Bryce Huff? Joe Douglas had an offer on the table that was going to talk to Huff's agent, and according to this article, Woody Johnson vetoed it. Now, in hindsight, you know, Huff isn't really playing well, but the reality is everything that Joe Douglas wanted to do, it didn't seem like he was able to do because Woody Johnson stepped in and kept videoing everything that he wanted to do. All right, so that's another thing. So getting into the real headliner of this article, which is Woody Johnson wanting to bench Aaron Rodgers, this is really interesting because I just find this really hard to believe, TD. I really do. Like, this is the part of the article, like, okay, there has to be some lies in here, like, because if this is all true, I don't know. We're talking about a team, TD. Let me add context to where the Jets were when Woody Johnson wanted to fire bench Aaron Rodgers, okay? It was after the loss to the Denver Broncos, the 10-9 loss. And the New York Jets were 2-2. And you know that what game happened before the Denver game? The game against the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. Remember that one? That was the highlight of Aaron Rodgers' Jets career when he blew out the Patriots. Everyone was like, oh, vintage Rodgers is back. I was saying that. We were all excited. 2-game winning streak. And then they go home, lose to the Broncos. And now you're telling me that Johnson suggested to the coaches that they bench Aaron Rodgers in favor of Tyrod Taylor because he felt Rodgers' performance was holding the team back? That is really crazy to me. The coaches and Douglas, stunned at this suggestion, talked him out of it and convinced Johnson to stay the course, and benching Rodgers with his pedigree 4 games into the season would not sit well with the locker room. The coaches also felt it would embarrass Rodgers. The idea of benching the future Hall of Famer sounded so absurd that one coach asked whether the owner was serious. So, I don't know if that's true or not. And then the next week, right, the coaches and the front office talked Woody Johnson out of trying to bench Aaron Rodgers. And the next week, they go to London to face the Vikings, and they lose. And then 2 days later, Woody Johnson fires Robert Saleh. So my theory is like Woody's like, you don't want to listen to me, coach? You don't want to listen to my suggestions? Watch this. You're done. But then my theory is like, okay, then why hasn't Rodgers been benched yet if that's what Woody's been wanting to do from the jump? So what's your thoughts of that? Because that's a lot to unpack.
You know what? I'm glad we're talking about this. I think everybody's using this opportunity to attack Woody, but I don't see where he's been wrong yet.
Oh, dude, don't even
hold on. I'm talking about this season. I'm not talking about his history, Richie. We're talking about everything that's transpiring right now. So let's break it down. First of all, I don't believe it either, Richie, because, you know, all I'm seeing, that article named everybody that was in the room. And 70% of the people that was in that room, they would never talk about this. But that other 30%, they all been fired pretty much. So they're the only source that you can get. So that's disgruntledness to me. Maybe, right? But let's say it's true. Let's say it's true, Richie, that this report is true. Well, guess what, Richie? How was Aaron Rodgers looking at the beginning of the season?
He had him at 2-2, and he looked pretty good against the Patriots. Not great, of course, right? But
yep.
I think he looks better. He looks worse now than he did at the beginning of the season, to be honest.
So guess what? 5 games in, he ain't getting it done. Why haven't you benched him? You're fired. All right, Douglas, you want to put yours on the line too? Now you fast forward today, he looking worse. You fired. Like, where's he wrong?
Yeah, but don't you understand? But what about your thoughts of Woody Johnson not allowing Joe Douglas to do his job? Basically, he demoted Joe Douglas, and now Woody's the active GM, and he's making football decisions. That is the issue here.
Hold on. What regards didn't he allow him to do his job? Bryce Huff? Bryce Huff ain't playing well.
In free agency.
Bryce Huff ain't playing well. He called it.
He wanted to do all the moves, everything that Joe Douglas has been trying to do. The Hassan Reddick move, everything. He forced his hand to trade for Devontae Adams. Woody Johnson did. Now, that's another part of the article. Woody Johnson forced Douglas to do it. And also, he doesn't care about the picks, right? Woody Johnson just benched our starting safety, Tony Adams, which I don't understand that decision at all. And
is he playing well? Playing well?
He was playing right.
Because the defense getting toasted in the secondary.
But my point is, TD, Woody Johnson, all of his moves that he's making is not doing anything positive. It's going the opposite direction. He fired Saleh. Why, TD? Why did he fire Saleh? Because he said in his words that this is going to provide a spark. It did the exact opposite, okay? Whether Saleh is good or not, that doesn't matter, okay? Whether if Saleh was here today and we're still 3-8, my point is he thought that firing Saleh at the time was going to do something positive. It did the absolute opposite. It made everything worse. And he ripped Joe Douglas out of his job and not allowing him to do his job anymore. And now here we are, firing Joe Douglas, and now they're trying to get a new GM. So my question to you is, who the heck wants to come work for Woody Johnson when he is putting his fingerprints on everything and not allowing his GM to do his job? Because that's what it comes down to.
A coach and a general manager that believe they can get the job done. It's that simple. Because at the end of the day, here's the problem.
These owners are not giving the control to the football minds.
They are. He done had control for 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever years, Richie. Like at some point you wear your welcome. Like y'all are taking all the onus off of Saleh and Douglas. Y'all act like Saleh and Douglas ain't responsible for nothing here. Like that's the problem.
Of course they are, but dude, we're talking about an absolute non-football mind making football decisions that's led to this.
But guess what? The football mind still led to this. The football minds and Douglas and Saleh still led to this. Like, that's the problem with Jets fans. Y'all are taking y'all will not hold Woody Johnson or Saleh accountable during this whole time. You want to put everything on Douglas. Well, guess what? You're a Jets fan. That's your owner. Ain't nothing you're going to be able to do about that. His brother probably the same. Okay? At the end of the day, when his 4-year appointment up, he's going to be right back there with you anyway, right? So at the end of the day, you need to hold what's in your control to talk about. Really, he ain't selling the team, Richie. So Douglas, you need a general manager because he wasn't stepping in 4 or 5 years ago. You need a general manager.
There's so many people coming out right now that is like roasting. It's not just Jets fans. I hope you realize this is not a Jets fan thing. There's everybody out there that is out there in the NFL media that's clowning Johnson. That's clowning him.
To what end?
That he strapped Joe Douglas. The last few years, when Woody Johnson came back from the UK, he came in here and vetoed a lot of things that JD wanted to do, to the point where Joe Douglas was sitting there like, what is my job here? If the things I want to do keeps getting vetoed, what is my role as a GM? Like, and he said he talked at the trade deadline. He talked at the trade deadline. He said, quote, "I serve at the pleasure of the owner." That's not a culture. Like, what are we doing? Who's going to want to be the GM for this team that serves at the pleasure of an incompetent imbecile of Woody Johnson that does not know anything about football?
Richie, it's called wearing your welcome. When Woody Johnson when Woody Johnson sees what's happening with Sam Darnold now, when Woody Johnson sees what's happening with Zach Wilson, your selection, at some point it's time for me to step in and start questioning everything you do. Start vetoing a few things. You lost your cachet. You made all those bad decisions a few years back. So you lost cachet. So now we're just going to say, oh, Woody wanted to do this and he stepped in. We don't know if that was going to be a good job by Woody. Woody lost his cachet. So now you got to do it collaboratively. Was Woody Johnson really stepping in like he is now 4 years ago, Richie?
No, he wasn't here. He left us. It was a Christopher Johnson. That's who was here.
And guess what he came back to? A whole bunch of failed decisions. By who? By who? So therefore, you can't get mad because the owner want to step in now and start vetoing and having more of a say, whether it's good or bad. But I can't sit here and say, let me leave it up to the football minds, because the football minds failing me. I wish the Dolphins owner was like this. You sit here listening to all these football minds in the front office and they failing you. So at the end of the day, you have to come in, clean house, and get you a new general manager, give him the full trust, and if he breaks that trust in 3 or 4 years, do the same thing and go get another one.
But that part right there, you just lost me. How do we trust that Johnson's going to give the next GM full trust? After seeing all this exposed right now, after all this exposed, we have so many high-ranked individuals that is plugged into the NFL that are higher than us, TD, both of us, that are roasting the Johnsons, that they did not allow Joe Douglas to do his thing properly. How is a GM going to want this job and be like, why would they want Johnson to be their boss? That's what I'm trying to understand. Who is going to want to have the Johnsons as above them if they feel like he's going to control the shots and not me?
Richie, any good general manager, coach, CEO, or whatever it may be, they are going to come to expect I either do my job and allow my superior to trust me, or I fail and don't question when he comes and vetoes me. Like, I keep trying. All I'm saying, Richie, is Douglas earned the vetoes. Johnson wasn't vetoing him 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, because he wasn't here.
Yeah, but Richie, look what he came back. Look what he came back to.
Then why doesn't he prioritize the Jets if he cares so much? Stop leaving us.
Because he's a billionaire. You're one of the many things he got going on.
Yeah, so sell the...
No. It ain't going to happen, though, Richie. Trust me. I trust me, Richie. Me and you in the same boat there.
I know he's not going to do it, but that's the only chance we have.
An owner that's just focused on... But would it really matter?
Because look at what the Mets have done. The Mets, we have an owner that came and saved the day. And look at where the Mets are right now, TD. The New York Mets.
Where are they?
We have an owner that bought the team. The reason why I bring up the Mets is because we have an owner that bought the team, and he's acting like me if I was a billionaire, and he's saving the day. Okay, so that's a perfect segue into the next segment.
Exactly. He ain't saving the day, Richie. The only thing gonna save you is Soto, and I don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah? Well, luckily, we have a brand new segment coming up about Juan Soto. Now, we got a lot of, I'm sure, Yankees fans in the chat right now, all right? And maybe we have other fan bases, the Dodgers, all right? So let's get into the business of Juan Soto, the latest odds brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook. BetUS Sportsbook is the #1 sportsbook on the face of the planet. These are the updated odds of where Juan Soto is going to end up. Now, the Yankees are still the favorite, but the Mets are now at plus 125. So if you guys want to sign up for BetUS Sportsbook, use the promo code YouTube150, and you get 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next two. That's all the way up to $2,000, folks. Definitely go check it out, and let us know in the chat right now who you got being the team to land Juan Soto. So we're going to bring in a great friend of mine now to give us his thoughts. Our baseball insider, Mr. Wardy NYM. Wardy!
How's it going?
Welcome.
Fellas?
Let's go.
So,
TD, my man, how are you? Richie, good morning, folks.
I'm good, man. I like the hat, man. You're sitting next to this guy over there that's delusional about the Mets.
Oh, I got news for you, buddy. Look at the hat. Look closely. It isn't a Yankees hat. It's a Mets hat. I got him. We got him.
Yeah,
Let's lock in.
Let's do it. Well, let me introduce my good friend Tyler real quick. Tyler is the #1 Mets YouTuber on the internet. All right, Wardy NYM is his @ on X, and you could check him out on YouTube. So we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to get my buddy Tyler on here to give us the latest news, the latest updates of where Juan Soto's going to go. The last I saw, Tyler, and I want to get your thoughts of this, Michael Kay said that the Mets are going to give Juan Soto $50 million more than any other offer. And that's what I've been saying here on this show since we started talking about this. I told Tony, I'm like, yo, I guarantee you Steve Cohen is not letting Soto go anywhere. He is going to make sure that he's a Met by overpaying him. And as of right now, that seems to be the case. So why don't you give us the latest update, Wardy, of what you're hearing?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on, guys. Loving the setup for Wake Up and Ball every single day. If you guys haven't smashed a like and subscribe on already, following along for all your morning sports news here from TD and Richie. I highly implore you guys to do that. The latest on Juan Soto with the Mets specific connection front is as follows. Yes, we heard from Michael Kay of Yes Network over the past 24 hours or so that the Mets might be willing to spend at least $50 million more for Soto's services. And a lot of people have had an overreaction to that. Should that be true? Saying, oh my goodness gracious, Steve Cohen is going scorched earth. I'm like, while I do expect Steve Cohen to be the highest bidder in the end, pushing all my bias aside as a diehard Mets fan, just kind of putting two and two together with so many factors as to why this will likely be the case this offseason for the Mets. But in simple terms, $50 million more than the next team offering means essentially that there will be at least one more additional year on the contract. So when we look at average annual value, which is AAV, your salary per year, along with the term of said contract, there's been a widespread belief since the offseason has begun, even well prior, knowing the Mets were going to be targeting Soto heavily for at least the past year and a half now heading into this offseason, is that the Mets would have the highest AAV and the longest term of a deal. So simply put, if the Yankees say throughout a 12-year offer of, say, however hundreds of millions it's going to be, the Mets will then respond with at least one additional year, if not multiple. And that one additional year is at an average annual value from anywhere from $50 to $60+ million, because that's what Soto's rate is going to be, because he's not getting one, anything less than $600 million at this current rate. And two, he's pushing north of $700 million at this rate for a guy that is, a subpar defender, an elite hitter, and not a pitcher like Shohei Ohtani. So when looking at roughing up the market and then some for how a lot of teams evaluate top free agents, things may change drastically yet again this offseason, this time with Juan Soto.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I really think it's inevitable, and I've never had this much confidence in landing a superstar with my Mets ever. And I think it's more about just Steve Cohen, man. Steve Cohen. And we just had a segment about the Jets, and I'm begging the Jets to sell the team, the Johnsons to sell the team, and then it brings up the Mets. Like, oh boy, doesn't it feel good to have an owner that cares and put his money where his mouth is and makes calculated, proper decisions, right, Tony?
Well, this is what I'm trying to understand, and maybe you can help me, Tyler. Juan Soto, I don't know the guy from a humanistic standpoint, like the person, right? And a lot of people making this about money. Is it about money for sure for him, or is it about winning, or is it a combination? That's what I want to understand before I weigh in.
So it's really hard to evaluate this as anything other than monetary being the main focal point. And the first thing that we can look at as a reason for this is 3 years ago, Juan Soto was traded from his team that he started with, the Washington Nationals. Mind you, at that point, he had already won a World Series, and essentially his first year as a teenager, going from Double-A to the big leagues. So just to show you how impressive that is, that's a major deal to happen. And the first year after star for the Nationals, and Bryce Harper signed with the Philadelphia Phillies on a massive contract over $300 million. Soto essentially replaced him right away. The Nationals won it all in that first year with him, and then the rest is history. Fast forward a couple years later, the Nationals offer a over $440 million contract extension to Juan Soto, when at this point in his career, he's around 22, 23 years of age. And he says no, which leads Juan Soto to be traded by the Nationals to the San Diego Padres, which he spent the past year and a half up until this past season, in which he was traded to the Yankees, and he balled out massively as one and potentially only year there. So Soto is represented by a agent by the name of Scott Boras. And in case you don't know too much on Scott Boras, he is as cutthroat of an agent as they come. He is the upper echelon of top agents there in Major League Baseball. No one has a bigger name or status than him. He's the guy that's looking for the biggest bag on long-term contracts with talents, and him and Soto have been going back and forth for multiple years leading up to this point. This is why he's going to be getting a tremendous dollar amount on average annual value. And this is why Soto, who already reached his second World Series at just the age of now turning 26, yes, winning is important, and that culture is certainly an aspect to it. But at the forefront of it all, it's going to come down to dollars. So the big question is Can the Mets separate themselves enough from, say, the New York Yankees, from, say, the LA Dodgers on lesser deal, but maybe a higher AV on a short-term contract, potentially the Philadelphia Phillies, the Boston Red Sox, what have you, that are going to do everything in their power to try to land him? Can the Mets pretty much just separate themselves to the point where this will not come down to a bidding war and this will be personal preference? Everything is aligning to look exactly that way. And before you guys have anything more to add here, I would just like to fill this in because I think this context is very important. 2 off seasons ago, the LA Dodgers did lateral moves in the offseason. So instead of being the big bad Dodgers that they typically are, like we saw this past offseason, spending $1.2 total billion in players in Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 2 years ago, they allowed their star shortstop at the time and Trey Turner to walk along with other key free agents. And the reason why they did that is they knew they could sacrifice for a season, still being a top team out of the NL West in their division, going to fall short of winning the World Series, knowing that they were going to go scorched earth in offseason later for Yamamoto and Ohtani's services. They did exactly that. They won a World Series in year 1, and they proved yet again how having a balance of not only in-house talent, but also spending big time will get you far, and that held true. This is the Mets now version of being able to do exactly that. Because last offseason, they made lateral moves. They didn't overspend on anyone. They stuck with short-term contracts, and those players far exceeded expectations. And this came after the Mets lost out on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who at the time had never pitched in Major League Baseball, signed with the Dodgers on the most lucrative contract in MLB history for a pitcher at $325 million. The Mets gave the same contract offer that the Dodgers gave, but because Yamamoto already had a certain infatuation with wanting to play with the Dodgers and certainly with his countryman in Shohei Ohtani, who's quite literally the best player on the planet, it's hard to say no in that circumstance. So as we fast forward a year later, and with north of $200 million that's come off the books for the Mets, and Steve Cohen, who's far and away the most wealthy owner in Major League Baseball among baseball owners, that is exactly why everyone has been pointing and believing that this is a time that Steve Cohen is going to make a splash like he hasn't yet for this Mets team.
So I have a follow-up question. See, this is what I don't understand about all of this, right? If it's about money, I don't understand why any of these teams are up here. Like, why wouldn't he just select? Because we're getting into 5, 6, maybe even $700 million. Then why wouldn't he just go over to Texas, Tampa, and avoid state taxes? Like
those owners can't afford that. That's why.
The Rangers owners, can
small market teams.
Regardless,
they don't got that. They don't got that cash, Tony. They don't got the cash for that.
Bro, he's worth $2.5 billion. He can make the investment, and they're coming fresh off of some successful years in Texas. So I don't understand how this wouldn't bolster them. The revenue will come back 2-3 fold. I don't understand why teams like that wouldn't be involved, because I feel like avoiding state taxes is going to save this man.
Yeah, so if an owner, let me weigh on that real quick, Tyler, and I'll let you get into your thoughts.
For sure.
Because
it's a good question.
Because listen, whatever offer that the Rays or the team with no state taxes offer, he's going to bring it back to Steve Cohen, and Steve Cohen's like, all right, so they'll calculate it. So that'll state taxes, I'll triple it. So no matter what you're paying state taxes, it'll cancel out and you'll get more money even by paying state taxes.
No.
Yeah, that's how – I don't think you realize how rich Steve Cohen is. That's the thing. $15 billion compared to $2.5 billion.
$22.2 billion is the
he's up.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Here's the
22.
deal,
That's the thing, Tony. You don't realize these owners don't even deserve to be in the same vicinity of Steve Cohen. Any offer that they give, he is going to maximize it, even with state taxes or not.
So they'll give him $1 billion?
They won't give him $1 billion.
This
but
is what I'm saying. There is a cutoff, bro. There's
absolutely a cutoff. And something to also bear in mind when it comes to player evaluation, you asked on personality. So let's just explain a little bit further as to who Juan Soto is from what we know in the public eye and what he seems to really care about. And there was actually a great piece from SNY that came out last night on how the Yankees feel good about their chances after having their first preliminary meeting with Juan Soto this offseason. But Soto laid the groundwork and said how, he needs to know that the Yankees will be able to fill in holes of other areas of their roster to make them better, to be a consistent winner. That's a heavy point of emphasis for him, not only on spending big, but making sure he's with a team that's going to consistently do their best to compete for a championship year in and year out. the Mets not only find themselves in that category, but on the financial end as well. And then this will bring me back to the personality for a second. What separates teams like the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and even like teams like the Phillies to the extent, surely the LA Dodgers, is that it's not only the contract investment, but it's all the sponsorships that come along with it.
Oh, yeah.
Juan Soto just dominated in literally the most important place to dominate in his one and only year there potentially with the New York Yankees. He was the most important player throughout the course of the year for the Yankees. He was the most consistent player for the Yankees. He was the most clutch player in playoffs for them, not named Giancarlo Stanton. Aaron Judge was nowhere to be found when he's their captain. So Soto knows that he is a guy that loves the spotlight. He loves being on the East Coast. He is one of those players that definitely wants the eyes on him because he has a swagger to his game and his personality is very eccentric to showcase his abilities. Like, he's been doing this since he's a teenager in a very different way than a lot of other guys and their comfortability in Major League Baseball. And now you look at the prospect of him staying in New York for, say, 10, 13, 15 years. Yes, you're going to be taxed up to you-know-what, but you're also going to be given sponsorship opportunities that simply teams like the Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, if you want to talk about teams in Florida or what have you, they can't even touch them. So
what a point there, Tyler. Tony, what are you going to say about that?
Separates the two.
There's no sponsorships in Florida.
Okay, listen.
Who cares about endorsements down there in Texas?
I'll be honest, Tyler, you make a very good, compelling point. I just don't like anything New York, so I hope he goes to the Red Sox over the Dodgers.
He's the biggest hater of New York.
I mean, that's
everything I love, Tyler, he hates. Okay, everything I love, he's a Knicks hater all of a sudden. You know, he's rooting against the Knicks every day. So
is he a Heat fan or is he just?
Oh, why did you tell him? Why did you tell him, Tony, who your basketball team is? That would be a great segue.
I hope he goes to the Red Sox.
Okay. Who's your basketball team, TD?
I hope he goes to the Red Sox.
That's a hint.
Oh my God! When did this start? Last season?
Oh, I can't handle the story of how this guy became a Celtics fan. But this guy living in Florida, rooting for the Boston Celtics. Man, Tyler, thank you so much for waking up and balling with us. It's been a pleasure to have you on to give us the inside news of Juan Soto. I think the next time we want to have you on is Juan Soto makes his decision and he signs with the Mets.
Hey, real quick, Tyler. Listen, man, just take this advice, bro. Stop hanging out with this guy, Richie, man. He's bad for your brand, bro. He's all this New York stuff, man. Come to the winning side in Boston.
Okay. Well,
get
me a nice flight to Florida and we'll hit out for a week, TD. We'll make it happen, all right? And then we can watch the Celtics on the beach. How about that, okay?
There you go. And then I can make you a Dolphins fan. Let's go!
Oh, man. He's a Steelers fan, man. He's living the dream right now.
I'm in a completely different realm.
Well, hey, much respect to that.
Well, Tyler, thank you again for waking up a ball with us. We appreciate your work, guys. Go check out Wardy NYM for all your latest Mets and baseball news. If you're into all things Mets and baseball, Wardy NYM is the YouTube channel to go check out, and check out his handle on X at Wardy NYM. Much love to you, Tyler. I'll talk to you later, my man.
Sounds great. TD, a pleasure. Richie, a pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you, brother. See you soon.
Our baseball insider, Tyler
Ward.
What's up, man? I'm anointing that now. He has no choice now. Now he's our baseball insider. Sorry, Tyler. All love to Wardy NYM, man. He absolutely killed it. And, I just can't wait to see where Juan Soto goes. It's going to be a great time to see exactly that. Now let's get into some other news around the sports world, man. We had some crazy NBA basketball last night. The Celtics defeated the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers. So, TD, the floor is yours. It was a juggernaut matchup between the two top dogs in the East. Celtics come out on top. What was your biggest takeaways in this game?
Tried to tell you, Richie. I said, man, stop worrying about these Cleveland Cavaliers being undefeated. They ain't played nobody. I told you, wait for Tuesday night. I told you this 2 weeks ago, didn't I? A week and a half ago. I said, wait till, 10 days from now when they play the Boston Celtics. Then we'll see who's the king of the East. Who's the best team? Man, and the Celtics was stomping a hole in the Cavaliers. But I respect the Cavs because they made a run back. Donovan Mitchell was absolutely phenomenal in that third and fourth quarter, bringing the team all the way back. But at the end of the day, when you got Tatum on the court, listen, you got W's. You got a winner. Okay, the Celtics were draining threes at a rate that you cannot keep up with. Then they got a little cold late in the third, early in the fourth. shooting threes, and that's what allowed the Cleveland Cavaliers to come back. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I respect the Cavaliers. I still don't think they're the best team in the East. I think it's Boston. But here's the thing. Darius Garland didn't show up for his team. I mean, it was one point he was like 3 for 21 or something in shooting. He did not show up for his team. He was the missing piece for the Cavs. If he would have just had a half decent day, they might have actually won that game. Darius Garland got to be better than that, man. He was passive. He deferred to Donovan Mitchell too much. They got to figure that chemistry out the right way. See, right now, it's been the Donovan Mitchell show. And Darius Garland sitting on the side, hey, oh, I got the ball. Let me try to get a butt. No, they need to figure out some type of chemistry there. When you look at, I keep saying his name and now Donovan Mitchell, yeah. When you look at Donovan Mitchell dropping 30 on any given night, man, you got to bring that down to about 27, and we got to bring Darius Garland up to about 22. We need that kind of balance. That way he stays in rhythm. I think Darius Garland is struggling from being in a lack of rhythm. And the more that Donovan Mitchell's going off, it's hurting him in some cases, especially when you're going up against a team that plays a little bit better defense. In Boston, you need that perfect, chemistry. So great game, though. It was a great game to watch. I was a little skeptical about the officiating at times, both ways, but for the most part, it evened out and ended up the way it should have ended up. The Cavs can't start slow like that. But did you see that Celtics court, Richie?
Yeah, it's the playing.
Yeah, I know. Ain't no better court in the league when in the playing tournament that they're all greened up with the championship trophy. Oh,
hey, that's no
man.
Championship trophy. That's the NBA Cup. Every court has that.
Oh, so y'all got the championship thing too?
Yeah, that's the NBA Cup trophy.
I don't know why they give it to frauds. Oh, I thought it was.
That's
just
not championship. That's the NBA Cup.
Hey, it was fire though.
Do you know what the in-season tournament is?
Yeah, I do. Now, what are the Boston Celtics odds? Because they had the Boston Celtics with bad odds of winning it all. So I wonder what their odds to win it all is now, because they needed this win. They lost a game against, I think, Atlanta or somebody that really hurt them.
So they've lost a NBA Cup game, you mean?
Yeah, was it Atlanta or the Nets or something like that? They lost a cup game.
See.
The first
NBA,
one. This was their second.
NBA specials. I got to find out where the NBA Cup odds are. But yeah, I mean, the Knicks are undefeated in the NBA Cup so far. And I think that's really why the Knicks are the favorites. But yeah, listen, this is a good win for the Boston Celtics. Listen, it's really going to come down to the playoffs. And the reality is, like, the Cavs had to lose eventually. I mean, like, what? Like 15-0, that's unreal. That's a crazy start, man. And that really opens up the idea that the Cavs may be a serious team to watch out in this season, because they competed well with the Boston Celtics in the semifinals last year. They bounced them out. They went on, and now the Cavs are moving and grooving. So big time game last night, NBA Cup game, prime time. It was a fun one. Sco with a $10 super chat. Look at that profile picture. Woo! Good morning, Richie. Good morning, Unk. Appreciate you with the $10 super chat. Much love to Sco. Everybody give Sco some super chat hype right now in the chat. Please do us a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and give Sco some dono hype right now.
Sco, man, chill out, bro. I got 7 more weeks before I'm an Unk. All right?
No, you Unk, bro.
My Unk cutoff was 40. I'll be 40 in about 7 weeks.
No, you
all right?
Now,
so
man.
Chill out, Sco. Give me about 7 weeks, man. Let me live. Let me breathe.
Hit that like button, folks. Let's get this to over 100 likes. If we can do that, that'd be pretty cool, man. So let's do that. The Knicks continue to be on a roll. We got a big game tonight, all right, against the Phoenix Suns, all right? The Knicks start a West Coast trip tonight. We're going to be on the West. The game starts at 10 p.m. EST.
L's.
I got the AFC's Roundtable tonight, and then when that ends, the Knicks start. So it's going to be a long evening for me tonight.
What time is that game?
10 p.m.
We'll see, Richie. We'll see if you get if the AFC's Roundtable end at 10.
Oh, I mean, it's probably not going to end at 10. It's going to start while we're on, but you know what I mean. So that's going to be a fun time, but I'm excited to see what the Knicks got cooking up. They're on a 3-game winning streak after the game winner against the Nets. They blew out the Washington Wizards on Monday, and they got a big stretch of games as they're trying to come up on the Magic, Celtics, and the Cavaliers.
And
All
I
right.
hit, Richie, I just want to let you know, man. I hit a little action last night, man. I hit on a little. Yeah, I picked some players in the NBA. I had Jordan Clarkson getting more than 15 and a half points. He got 18. You know, I had Austin Reeves with less than 10 assists and rebounds combined. He got 5. I had Luka Doncic over 24 and a half. He got 26. LeBron James over 23 and a half. He got 26.
Oh, LeBron James, huh? Yo, you're betting
Yeah.
on LeBron James, huh? Whoa.
And Murray with no
Woo.
with no big man, you know, I had him over 23 and a half. He had 27. So yeah, man, I cashed out pretty nice last night.
Lakers win again.
Yeah.
LeBron out there. I mean, it was against the Jazz, right? The Jazz are really bad. But hey, winners win. They keep doing it. LeBron continues to be that guy, right? LeBron's still playing elite. Come on now.
Somewhat.
What do you mean somewhat?
All right. We ain't gonna
put
argue
some respect
about
on
that.
LeBron James's name.
The stat pad of the night, Richie. Come on, man.
Stat patter, bro. This guy put up 26 and 12, and he's a stat patter, bro. Come on now. Don't get me started with that. But let's get into some NFL talk. All right. We didn't really hear your thoughts of the Miami Dolphins, so I wanted to give you the floor and just give us your thoughts of the Miami Dolphins as they won on, 2-game winning streak, potentially 3 games in a row. The floor is yours, TD. Let the people know realistically where you see the Miami Dolphins are going.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a tough finish to the season, to be honest with y'all. But hey, let me say this at the end of the day. We got a chance. You know, it's gonna be tough, but we got a chance. And here's the crazy thing: things are looking a lot more favorable than we thought. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. San Francisco isn't playing great football right now. Green Bay hit and miss right now. They are a good team, but they've been actually, in my opinion, at least regressing a little bit. But they're skirting by. They're getting their wins. So I feel like Miami can definitely compete with them now. Texans are the only ones where it still looks tough, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But overall, we know that we're going to sweep the Jets. We know that we're going to beat the Patriots, and we're going to demolish the Browns. And I think that the Dolphins have a good shot. See, those 4 games right there alone are going to get us to 8 wins. And when you really look at those last 3 competitors I told you about, San Francisco has to go on the road to Miami. And I think that we can get them. We can get them in Miami, and that gets us to 9 wins right there. And then we're still on the outside looking in. But at the same token, we still got to take care of business with Houston and Green Bay. The Green Bay game is going to be tough. It's on the road. It's going to be very cold. But you know what? I think that we're finally going to get over a hump that we never got over. Now, it's going to be ugly, but I think it's going to be one of those cowboy-type games that we had last year where it wasn't pretty, but we came out with the victory. It doesn't matter how ugly it looked or who played good and who played bad, but I think that we're going to come out with that victory. The Houston Texans, I'm still not going to bank on that. But there is a scenario where you don't have to bank on the Houston Texans game. Going on the road versus them, they're going to be playing for seeding at that point. They're going to be all in on it. But here's the deal. Denver is the team that's kind of standing in our way right now. But I love the fact that Denver, they have a little tough slate at the end. And Bo Nix is a rookie. And at the end of the day, I like our schedule actually better than the Denver Broncos schedule. And when you look at their last few games of the season, now they're going to rack up some wins. We're still going to be like, man, Denver's winning. Denver's going to beat the Raiders. They're going to beat the Browns, and they're going to beat the Colts. But when they go up against the Chargers, that's anybody's game. But let's say they beat the Chargers. Okay, that's still a concern for us. But the Bengals, it just depends. Are the Bengals completely out of it and they're like, man, we're giving up? That's going to be a scary piece right there. But above all, I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs in the last week because the Chiefs will be playing, in my opinion, to secure the number 1 seed in the NFL. That Buffalo win over the Chiefs served us as a good situation for us. Why? Because I could see the Chiefs falling one more time. And let me tell you when. I think the Chiefs lose to the Chargers on December 8th when we're in Miami playing the Jets.
So you just speak all that nonsense because this is what we need to talk about because the Denver Broncos are making the playoffs.
Oh, my gosh, Richie.
And that's the reality. The Denver Broncos are the better football team. Bo Nix is playing like he's about to knock on the door in the Rookie of the Year
over
award.
Who?
Daniels. Not right now. I'm saying he's knocking on the door. He's on his way there. He's not there yet. If the season ended today, it's Daniel's award, but a lot of ball left to be played. And the way he's looking after that last week, man, I mean, I was high on Bo Nix pre-draft. And this is the reason why. I saw this in his tape, and now we're out here. So the Denver Broncos are the team, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, that you are rooting against. All right? Rooting against the whole time. We got Young Buck Collins says, those graphics are fire, TD and Richie. Thank you so much for acknowledging the graphics. We're really trying to level up the network, baby. And that's what we're doing here. So shout out to everybody tuning in and waking up and balling with us. I feel like the Denver Broncos are the team you got to be worried about, TD, because the Chargers are a lock, in my opinion, and then the Ravens are a lock. So the Broncos are that team that's one game above 500, and they're coming off a very good win to the point where you look at their schedule, and you may think like, oh, the Chargers may be tough. Oh, the Chiefs may be tough. But what if the Broncos are that good that they can beat those teams after what they just did to a good Atlanta Falcons team?
So you think, here's the deal, Richie. You think a Broncos team is going to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs know that win could give them the number 1 seed?
I mean, what I do know is that the Chiefs, I believe, lose to the Broncos once a year. They just have that. That's that team that figures out ways to do it. So, and they were right there to beat them. It took a blocked field goal.
You know,
right there.
You know what's so funny and ironic with Dolphin fans? If we take care of our own business and we win, all the games, or maybe most of them, and just lose one, we're gonna become the biggest Chargers and Bengals fans at the end of the season. We're gonna be rooting for Herbert to beat Bo Nix in the Broncos in December 22nd, and we're gonna be rooting for Burrow to beat up on the same team. And that, look how ironic that is, in my opinion. Like, we'll be rooting for Herbert and Burrow, and Dolphin fans will see that. But hey, that's what we put ourselves into, the situation.
Yeah, man. Let's look at the updated NFL playoff picture as we get into what's next in the world of the NFL. All right. So what do you think the percentage odds for the Miami Dolphins is to make the playoffs?
You've been saying 10. I thought it was 16.
Let's find out. So here is the simulator.
And does this tell you if the Dolphins win, what it becomes?
Yeah, it's updated. So it's currently 10%. If they win, it's 14%.
Moving on up.
And if you lose, 3%. The Jets, 2%, baby. Woo! Still alive. So the Bengals, who has one more loss than you guys, have more of a chance, barely.
The Bengals have a better chance than us right now?
By 1%. I mean,
what's their record?
The Colts, 4-7. Y'all 4-6. So you guys have one less loss. The Colts are right ahead of you. 28% if they win this week against the Lions, which isn't happening. And then the Broncos, they're at 66%. They're taking on the Raiders. That is a big game. If the Broncos beat the Raiders, the Broncos have a 74% chance to make the playoffs. So I hope you realize the odds are like, you keep speaking like you guys are controlling your own destiny and everything. You're not. Like, the Broncos are in the driver's seat to make the postseason. They got an easy game coming up against the Raiders. They're going to win that game, and their odds go to 74. You guys beat the Patriots. Your odds are 14%. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that that percentage and the odds are totally stacked against you, and you do not have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. It's going to take a miracle for you guys to do it. An absolute miracle. So stop speaking this delusion that it's a lock and all you got to do is win. No, you need the Broncos to plummet in order to do it.
If we go undefeated the rest of the way and the Broncos lose one, we're in.
Okay.
We're in.
Okay. Yeah, that's happening. Like, this is what you do. You just bring up the most unrealistic hypothetical. Like, yeah, the Dolphins are winning out. Sure.
Or if we win and we only lose one and the Broncos lose two, we're in.
All right, that's what it takes, which is why the odds are what they say they are, because nobody sees that.
1 week at a time, ladies and gentlemen. 1 week at a time for the Dolphins, and we'll make it.
I don't know,
team
man.
will make it.
I don't know. The odds say what they are, and as of right now, the Broncos are at 6. Even if they lose against the Raiders, it's at 50%. I mean, and even if you win, it's at 14. So the odds keep stacking against it, but the NFC playoff picture is heating up, man. You got that NFC West. Whoever's coming, like look at this. 3 teams in the NFC West is knocking on the door, and the leader of the NFC West is the Cardinals at 6-4. You know,
what's
the Commanders,
49ers odds?
30% right now. If they win against the Packers, 46.
So they'll be playing hard to finish out the season.
Bears are done. The Bucks still have a chance, but that's going to be tough. The Commanders, man, that they plummeted, man. They were in that driver's seat in the NFC East. Look at the Vikings, the 5th seed in the wild card, 8-2. Packers, 6th seed, 7-3. Who would have thought that the NFC would be the better conference?
Yeah, what's the Lions record again?
9-1. Same as the Chiefs.
Their division is crazy, man. And they're gonna and the crazy thing, they're gonna keep stacking the wins. Can you tell me what Green Bay's odds? Are they in right now?
79%. And then if they win against the Niners, 90. But it's heating up, man. The NFC is any team can squeak in. If the Seahawks keep winning, the 49ers, I don't know. There's a lot of other teams that could potentially knock at the door. So it's going to be a fun way to see how this all ends up. But, folks, that's going to be Wake Up and Ball, presented by BetUS Sportsbook. Thank you to BetUS for powering the show. Thank you to everybody in the chat that's waking up and balling with us every day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. We got through a lot of stuff today, broke down the whole situation with the Jets, went into Juan Soto, NBA talk, back into the NFL. Much love to everybody tuning in. Any last words you got for the chat, Tony?
Yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. We're going to be breaking it all down. Thank y'all so much. Wake Up and Ball with TD and Richie. We're going to debate it all. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. Make this a new part of your daily morning routine. All right. Thank you to Young Buck and all the people in the chat that's been supporting. This is hopefully the beginning of something special, and it's all because of you guys supporting us and liking and subscribing and sharing and doing all that fun stuff. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. See you on the huddle.